Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at a 35mm rangefinder. This comes from those well-known people at Yashica. It dates from 1963. This is the Yashica Minister III. I'll say 35mm rangefinder camera, all metal, leaf shuttered. Very nice, and it's a coupled rangefinder. It's not a zone focusing camera, and it has a built-in light meter as well, so it's pretty well specified. The lens is very well specified, I think. It's a 45mm 1.9. I'll bring that in, will it stay in focus? Can I keep it level? As you can see, it's a selenium celled camera, so it doesn't need any batteries. Tip of the day, if you're going to buy a selenium celled camera, make sure it has and comes with a lens cap. These cells do have a limited life, but they only work when they're exposed to light. If they've been stored with a lens cap on, the cells will be fine. So I say this one works. So that's survived from 1963. It was replaced in '64 by the Minister D, which had CDS cells. And obviously would have needed a battery for that. Right, let's take a quick overlook of her. Obviously you can see the cells and the filter ring around the side. Great advantage of this layout is whenever you put a filter on, it will camera doesn't want to focus on it. Whenever you put a filter on, the camera will take into account the compensation automatically, which is really kind of handy, makes it quite easy to use. We can see the rangefinder window just above the lens. We can see the big viewfinder window on the right hand side. On the bottom of the camera we have a tripod mount in the middle, very useful. We have a rewind button, and we have a way of opening the back film door. You push this button in and slide it, and that would open up the back. You can also see this has a citizen shutter, and just tap this to focus again, citizen shutter, and this is a self timer on the bottom. On the top of the lens, assuming the elbow tracking can work. Okay, we have a number of scales. The farthest outer scale, the red one, is for exposure value. A lot of cameras that we've seen from this period had this feature on them, whereby rather than setting a shutter speed and an aperture, you'd actually set an EV or exposure value, and that would give you a set of connected shutter speeds and apertures that would meet that exposure value. A lot of handheld meters, the ones that I have got this on there where it gives you an exposure value as well as the speeds and the aperture. The next dial here is the shutter speeds, so from 500 all the way down to 1 second plus B. It's leaf shutter, so 500 is pretty good. The aperture is coupled, and it's only visible in this window here. So when I turn the shutter speed dial, you'll see that the aperture changes, and obviously the slower the shutter speed, the more stop down the lens is. There's 22, 11, 8, etc. So you get the idea when you select the shutter speed, and it will tie in. So you can see there that a 60th at f16 would be about 11, exposure value of 11. Makes it easier, really. They kind of figured this is before the days of automation, of course. And behind that we have the focus dial. The focus is slightly offset. There's a red dot down here. You can see that's at infinity, and then it focuses all the way down. Bottom scale's meters, top scale's feet, so down to 0.8 of a meter. Very smooth action, still really nice condition. On the top plate we have film advance, again quite a long throw. Frame counter, this resets automatically when you open the back. We have a threaded shutter release down here. This part down here is the exposure meter. You just read off the value on the scale. You can see the needle moves. When I put my hand in front of it, it drops right the way down, and the more light you get going into it, the higher it's going to read. Cold shoe on this part here, and obviously the film rewind crank, standard 35mm sort kind of layout. Viewfinder window at the back, and probably a means for calibrating the rangefinder in here, where you can adjust the rangefinder. Rangefinder in this one, it does work, it is visible. It's there you go, you can see the bit in the middle of the viewfinder. Does work, camera's fully functional, very nice. Not that heavy, but yeah, all metal, good quality construction. Very nice indeed. On this side we have the flash PC connection, and you can see it's got an X on it, so it's synchronised for electronic flash. Surprising for 1963 really. I would have thought they'd still been using bulbs in those days, but yeah, it has the X link, so it's still usable today. Obviously, being a leaf shutter, it synchronises at all speeds. That's the big advantage of a leaf shutter over a focal plane shutter. Right, let's open it up and shoot some film. You want to hear it? Okay, that is very quiet. Oops, sorry, not the camera. That's set on an 1/8. Let's set it up to more usable normal speed. That's a 250th. Very quiet, very discreet, nice size, good to put in a coat pocket. Like I say, this is a self timer. The standard way of using it, you just slide it across, push the button, it moves back across. Right, time to put some film in it. You know, this is a bit where it always goes wrong for me in videos. So to open the back, you push down and slide on this button here, and the back pops up. There we can see the back. Pretty standard layout, pressure plate, take-up spool, multi-slotted take-up spool, so it's quite easy to load. He says. Sprocket Drive. This is obviously a film plane window, and this is where your fresh film is going to go in. This rewind crank does pop up out of the way. We just take our roll of film, pop it into there, we pull it across, pretty standard. You've seen this in countless videos, I would have thought by now. But feed that in, lines up with the sprockets, fire the shutter, wind it till it goes and starts to take up the second one, close the back. And you know the old rule about if you want to see your film going round, rewind it, that part will go down, and you can just rewind it so that that goes tight, and then you know that your film is moving through the camera. Nothing worse than taking a load of pictures, especially if you're processing them at a lab and getting, you know, paying to get them processed, and they tell you when you go to pick it up that sorry, there's nothing on the film. They won't tell you that until they've taken your money, of course. But yeah, it's always a good idea to keep an eye on the film moving through the camera. So yeah, 3 times, ready to go. Set the ISO. The ISO range on this camera is from 400, that's as high as it goes, which is a pretty fast film for 1963, all the way down to 10. So you set your ISO with this button here up to 400. You can use a handheld meter, you know, obviously there are ways around it. You can get around this EV thing quite easily. Like I say, always make sure you've got a lens cap on when you're not using it to protect the cells. And there you go, folks. That is the Yashica Minister III. Very nice quality rangefinder, not particularly expensive, still working well after all these years of service. Highly recommended. Thanks for watching. Comments, questions, queries, requests down below, and hope to see you in the next one.